Let me show you why these Sunday shows are so horrendous to this country's psyche and to policymaking in this country. Let me give you some examples of different clips we have here. Jamal Bowman, who is a Marxist buffoon and an anti-Semite and has a real challenge in the Democrat primary, calls Netanyahu a maniac. I'm 100% with Chuck Schumer. He needs to be removed. More on that later. We cannot condemn October 7th and then condone the killing of civilian women and children that's happening right now. So he is a front, a fraud, and a phony for Hamas. Representative Clyburn on Meet the Press. Netanyahu sold his soul to the right-wingers in Israel in order to maintain power for himself. Now, this is what the anti-Semites like Clyburn do. They attack Netanyahu, but Netanyahu is representing what the people of Israel want. But it's easy to attack Netanyahu, and of course, he should be talking about Biden selling his soul to the Islamists, the river to the sea crowd, as has James Clyburn, who is nothing but a Democrat hack. Chris Van Hollen on ABC's This Week. Chris Van Hollen's wife is essentially an Islamist. And so I'm just showing you, why would Meet the Press have Clyburn on? Why would MSNBC have Jamal Bowman on? Why would This Week have Chris Van Hollen on? They all know what they're going to say. That's why. Until the Netanyahu government allows more assistance in Gaza, we should not be sending more bombs to Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, over 60% of the assistance we've provided has been stolen by Hamas. And they either use it for themselves or they resell it to the people in Gaza at a significant increase. And the fuel they use to fire their rockets. Now, Van Hollen knows it, but he doesn't care because he's an Israel hater, as apparently is his lovely wife. And there's others. Al Sharp, what the hell is Al Sharpton even saying, Mr. Producer? Wahlberg of Michigan appeared to suggest nuclear weapons should be dropped on Gaza. His office maintained he was speaking metaphorically. This begs the question, with all the criticism against Biden, if Trump were in power right now, wouldn't the support have been more one-sided and pro-Israel? Let's play that one. That's a particularly good one. Then you have this guy, David Jolly. David Jolly spent most of his career on Capitol Hill. He's a punk, a puke, and a phony. He held a seat in Congress for 2 years, and then his ass was kicked out. And he's been a MSLSD mouthpiece Republican, or maybe it's, for years now. And so he's just one of these Republicans, there's about 15 of them, that they bring in who dance across the stage and play as a one-person rockette. That's David Jolly. Notice all these names, Joy Reid, David Jolly. What's the other Joy's name? Whatever the hell her name is. Behar, right. All these happy people. And Sharpton is the last one to open his big fat mouth about Jews. And there he is at MSNBC. Look at these sickening reprobates they hire. Him, Joy Reid, who else? Rachel Madcow. Cut 6, go.
Wahlberg of Michigan appeared to suggest that nuclear weapons should be dropped on Gaza. His office maintains that he was speaking metaphorically. This begs the question, with all the criticism against President Biden, if Trump were in power right now, wouldn't the support have been even more one-sided pro-Israel?
Yeah, it absolutely would be, which I think is the critical point for this slice of the electorate who continues to express concerns about Joe Biden's handling of the issue in the Middle East, the war in the Middle East.
Another anti-Israel guy, David Jolly. This is MSNBC full-time. It's CNN full-time. I just want you to know how the other side of the track conducts itself. Now, the ratings are low, but they have 95% or so of the media. So it's a constant drumbeat. Al Sharpton should be hiding his head right now. And yet the Democrats go and they kiss his hand every time they decide to run for office, despite his thoroughly disgusting background over the years. So there you have ABC, Meet the Press, MSNBC, you have CNN all day long. This is the crap you get because they are a conga line of Democrat Party hacks and Republican never-Trumpers. That's what they are. Hour after hour on Sunday. This is what you get. No wonder they want to shut down Fox and conservative talk radio. You can see why. Pretty amazing. But I want to get on. The Israelis attacked. There's no comment from them or the United States. A location, consulate, the Iranian consulate. 6 of the leading terrorist Iranian generals, planners, strategists. What were they doing in Syria? Well, the top Iranian Islamo-Nazi general who was taken out, and so, I don't understand this. Shouldn't the Iranians be celebrating that he's going to have 72 virgin wives in heaven now, Mr. What is this? Retribution. Retribution for what? I mean, by their own words. Why is that? What's the retribution for? Anyway, so this guy, such as he was, no longer exists. Now, what was his role? First of all, he's a mass murderer and an assassin. His role was to arm Syria and also to flow arms to Syria, then flows the arms to Hezbollah and Hamas. Especially Hezbollah. So he's involved in the methods by which Iran is arming the Islamo-Nazi terrorists that's its surrogates, including in Hezbollah and Hamas and in Gaza, and no doubt the PLO. He's a mass murderer. So even though there's no comment, let's just assume for argument's sake that the Israelis took him out. Oh, the Israelis are escalating the problem now, don't you see? You believe this, Mr. Producer? They're escalating. It's like this hospital, which they took a second time. You have this guy Miller, a candy ass, who sits there at the Department of State, which is anything but, criticizing the Israelis. They say, look at the hospital. Joe Rogan may want to pay attention. I can educate him here. They look at the hospital and they say, look, the hospital's completely destroyed. Well, guess who was shooting mortars, effectively, into the hospital, Mr. Producer? Gee, I wonder who. Just for the United States State Department and the American media and Joe Rogan and his ilk, so they could show a picture of it. Look at this, my gracious goodness. And all those doctors and patients, there are very few doctors and patients. What happened there, and I've just posted the article, is a remarkable military operation. And my David Milstein makes the point, and I think he's right. They left the hospital. They already took this hospital. So the Israelis, the IDF, leave, right, Mr. Producer? And they leave some of the tunnels that are effective. And so the moron at the State Department says, why do you have to go back twice? Now, why does anybody think they did that? Because they knew the terrorists would flow back in. That's why. And there they were, about 1,000 of them, Mr. Producer. It wasn't a hospital anymore. It was a compound. They were building it back up as a terrorist compound. In other words, the ploy worked perfectly. The idiots at the Department of State and the rest of, why did they have to go back? Why didn't they? This is what happens when you get these fools out of Harvard and Princeton, with the $200 shirts and $150 ties, and they don't know anything. They don't know a damn thing about what's going on. But they're happy to comment, just like every single clown this Sunday. What does Jamal Bowman know? Well, he hates Israel. What does James Clyburn know? Hates Israel. What does Van Hollen know? He knows his wife hates Israel, so he hates Israel. Sharpton? We know Sharpton. And these are the people commenting. All damn day on these Sunday shows. Why even have the guests? By the way, there's Dana Bash at CNN. She's a complete putz. complete putz. I'll get to her later. One thing at a time. I'm getting ahead of myself. It was like when Trump took out Soleimani and the isolationists within the Republican Party, the mouthpieces for the left in the Democrat Party, and the media. My God, he's going to escalate. Maybe. But they're just supposed to keep taking hits. Do you know how many missiles are coming in Israel from Lebanon now? It's constant. And they're hitting into their interior towns now, their interior cities. And the idiot Biden has our guys building a port on Gaza. Of course, they're going to be subject to attack. And let me just ask this question, because Mark Penn brought it up here last week. Mark Penn, the pollster for Clinton, who's about had enough of Biden, the best I can tell. He said, Haiti is the humanitarian disaster on the face of the earth right now. There's no government. The gangs now run Haiti. We even have Americans in Haiti. They're not building any ports. Not making any demands. They don't even talk about it. Biden doesn't talk about it. Kamala doesn't talk about it. Aren't these people of color in Haiti? Yes, it is. So how come James Clyburn doesn't say anything? Or Jamal Bowman? Why is it the Israelis and the Jews? We got to keep talking about them, you know. And we're all the great athletes. Why aren't they talking up about what's going on in Haiti? Those who are obviously black Americans, why aren't they speaking out about it? The horrendous conditions there. People are dying, and they're dying fast. And a lot of them at one time. Not a word. I haven't heard anybody say anything. Now, I have to admit, I don't watch ESPN morning, noon, and night. I barely watch it except for my buddy Stephen A. But here's the thing. Crickets. 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 LGBTQ, sure, we'll talk about that all day till we're blue in the face. But what about the slaughter and the starvation? Jill Biden hasn't said it. Dr. Jill Biden. She didn't say anything in any speech. In fact, nobody is saying anything except me. That's the funny part. I'm the one speaking up about it. Because I can see it with my own two eyes. Al Sharpton hasn't said a damn thing. Nothing. The Congressional Black Caucus, nothing. Schumer bravely spoke up on the Senate floor, and did he speak about it? Nothing. Not a word. What's that? I'm not trying to be provocative. What is the guy's name? The God? What's his name? Charlemagne the God. Now, maybe you've done a show on it, maybe you haven't, but if you haven't, what the hell's your problem? I'm quite serious. Sorry. I'm just observing. I see things like everybody else. Maybe he did, and if he did, I salute you. But if he didn't, why not? No, I'll bring it up. But Mark, Haiti is nothing. Haiti is in our hemisphere. And tens of thousands of Haitians are going to be coming to the United States very, very soon. What do you mean it's not in our interest? But you know what it is? It's a perfect example of what happens when law and order is destroyed, when judges go on TV and politicize the court system, when prosecutors are used to take out your political opponents, when violent criminals are let out on the street time and time and time again. Haiti is an example of a complete failure of a society. And by the way, it's not the only one. But it's the one closest to us. Well, that and California.